fix that real fast. There we go. I hate it when things are trying to mess with me. You can't do that. That's not nice. Oh, hi, Dimitri. I wasn't sure if people would be here already, so forgive me opening a wrapper. Oh no, not ASMR of me eating. Let's see. Is it cool? That's all I wanted to know, is if it mirrored over correctly. To answer your question though, because that's a thing you asked, I'm doing generally better. I could be doing still better, I think. I could definitely have a little more energy. But, you know what? I'm doing pretty great. I can't complain all that much. There we go. Fixed those. So yeah, I don't know. I'm doing all right. The meds have really helped. I still don't feel like I have a ton of energy, but that's probably okay. And it will come around in time. Friday, I'm going to try to go back to indoor rock climbing, which I typically do 3 times a week. But yeah, at the moment, I'm like, big yikes. I am remembering to eat and stay hydrated, I promise. Such as whatever this protein bar thing is my dad sent me. Oh no, I just watched our funding go down. Like silly people. Funding's supposed to go up. Funding go up. So hello. It's only been a couple minutes, so I know that some people will kind of like filter in time. But I'm Seven. I'm the creator of the Hot Housewives Tarot deck. Specifically, I'm the designer of it. The actual visual designer and illustrator and collage expert for this really awesome deck is Amy Smith, who I have all kinds of information on in the campaign page if you want to scroll down on that page to check out any of Amy's things. Amy did the original normal tarot and the silver normal tarot. Amy also has done all the design work for my oracle dice symbols. So the symbols on the actual oracle dice themselves were all done by Amy Smith. So Amy is a delightful longtime collaborator and hopefully will continue to be into the future. But yeah, Amy did the awesome work on this deck and is the reason that I have a copy in hand right now and can show you, which is pretty cool. This is a deck that will be foiled, which is to say, like on this particular card, for example, the hot pink parts around the bomb, this will be a hot pink foil. On the suit of pies, that green of the jello there, that will be a foil. This one might be a little hard to see on the camera, but the brown fence and the little hanging star over the character sitting on the porch here, that will be brown foil. So it'll be quite a brilliant and intense deck. This will have red foil. So there are some really cool, unique things about this deck. There is your typical 1 through 10 in each suit, and then there is a family. So, for example, this was the son of the bomb's family. But then, hidden behind the family, there is an 11 to 14 in each suit. And those are the ones that will be in red foil. They're typically the things that are kind of hidden by the 50s Americana aesthetic. So, for example, behind the material reality of the 50s, we have like the 13 of Pies, which is injustice. And it's focused on the like injustice that was done to people in the 50s, specifically Black communities in this case. But it's not always negative. We also have Black joy in the 12 of baseball. This is what is hidden by the cishet white Christian American families of the time. It's kind of like all the parts of the world that kind of got glossed over and forgotten. This is the Mother of Bombs, who's super great and is not the original design that I did, but the Mother of Bombs was originally the Queen of Bombs and was the first card ever made of this deck, technically. It's the card that led to this deck, maybe is a better way to put it. And now the deck is fully realized. It is quite a chunky deck. There is a standard 1 through 10 and then a 4 character court in each suit, but there's also a 0 in each suit. So this is the 0 of Pies, which is the green lawn. The zeros kind of embody what that suit is really about in a general sense. So the green lawn, of course, is this physical material status symbol that you would really chase in the 50s, but you know, you also chase today, depending on your home ownership and how you feel about lawns. And it really speaks to the material reality of like owning things to show people your status, which became such a big thing in the rise of heavy consumerism in the 50s to 60s. It just really is a super great deck. Hi, Onion Knight. How are you? So what I'm doing here today is making myself available. You can ask questions about the project if you have questions about the project. You can also ask me questions for the tarot deck, and I'm happy to do readings during this time. I also have the early print copy of the Misery Tarot here, so if that needs to come out at some point, I'm glad to do so. But the Misery Tarot is kind of a dark and brooding deck, and it's about hard topics. So ask away. If you have questions about the deck, if you have a question for the deck, feel free to go ahead and ask in the chat. You can pop in on either YouTube, which is perfectly cool, or you can just go to the campaign page itself, which is linked in the YouTube description. And the campaign page on BackerKit is mirroring this stream. So you can actually see it there, and you can actually take part in the chat from the campaign page itself, which is pretty great. You've also been super sick? Anya, no. That's no good. Yeah, it's been like a big 3 weeks where I kind of just lost all ability to do most things and really fell behind in all the workload that I have, which is a lot. I have a lot of work to do generally. But this week I've been back to work, and I actually over yesterday and today I did a lot of layout for the boxes and stuff for the Oracle dice. So hopefully I can get test prints of the Oracle dice stuff soon. It actually was like an all-day thing today and yesterday to get the cheat sheet cards done. I know this isn't about the Hot Housewives Tarot, I'm sorry. But the cheat sheet cards for the Oracle dice are like color matched to the dice. You know, me saying this is so useless if I don't have the die right here, but I sure don't, so that's kind of embarrassing. But Yeah, so there's dice that match these, and then you have the symbols and text on it, and it's double-sided, so you have all 6 sides of the dice on just a tarot card. Actually writing them up and laying them out for 22 dice in the original set and then 22 dice in the new set was literally an entire day of work each. And they don't even look all that fancy. It just was a lot to do. So I'm proud of myself that I got that done. But there's always more work to do. I'm hoping that by the end of the week, I can finish up the Misery Tarot guidebook so I can at least be like, Misery Tarot, go. Get out of my face. We're done. Because I want to be doing more design work on the Missing America booster pack, which I'm really hyped about. You can see 3 of the cards that I'm working on that are already looking pretty good on the campaign page itself, but I do have ideas and stuff for all the other cards. I have a big document where I just have a bunch of like collage pieces sitting around. Here in the south, the weather has been crazy, and it has my chronic pain at a 6 out of 10. No, Dimitri, that's no good. Yeah, I'm hoping that fall and winter come around for you. I'm a big fall and winter girly. Summer's really cool, and I do like wearing as little clothes as possible. That is fun, but if I go outside and just being outside makes me sweat, I'm like, but why? Why do I have to experience this? So yeah, does anyone have any questions either about the project or for the tarot deck? I'm happy to do a reading at any time during these 2 hours, and we'll see how long this lasts. I've been fairly sick, for anyone who isn't already aware, and I don't know, I might run out of social energy steam before we reach the end of the 2 hours, but I'll do my best to be present the whole time. And also, don't be afraid to join us in the chat if you are watching. That is where you can ask questions and also just hang out. I love seeing regular faces, but I also like seeing new people, so feel free to pop in with whatever you got. Because if you don't, I'll just start doing things. Sometimes I just do readings for no reason. My seasonal depression is summer-based. Fall and winter are my happy months. As for questions about the deck, what's your favorite card? In the Hot Housewives Tarot, what is my favorite card? I know that some of them, like, I look at Beyond Your Means. This is the 8 of Pies, and this is the card about, like, living beyond your means, like literally taking out credit and stuff, rather than accepting you don't need the new washing machine to look cool to your neighbors. This is the kind of card where I'm like, it doesn't strike me as my favorite at all, but it does its job really well on what its message is. And I think that with this deck in particular, the cards are really good at carrying their messages a lot more than they are at like giving me specific favorite cards. But that said, there are absolutely a number of cards that are in the running for my favorite. I love the Mother of Future. The whole family for the Future suit is like basically blasted away and just left their shadow on the wall, basically. I love them so much, but the Mother gets me. Amy's choice for the patterning on the wallpaper was so good. I love the Mother of Future so very much. I'm going to be really hype about the 8 of Future as well when it is actually foiled, because the entire silver sky there is going to be foil, and then it's just like the silhouette or the long shadow from like the car and house and stuff because the bomb is hitting. I think that's super delightful. I really love the Sheriff. I don't know what it is about this card, but like, I don't know, he's kind of hot. Maybe I'm a little biased and just really gay. That's allowed. I really love the Eight of Bombs, which I want to locate here. This is a large deck, okay? It's not a slender or quick deck to get through. It has all the normal tarot and then some extras. Um, I am a big fan of the Daughter of Baseball. I love the motif that Amy worked with, where for the whole family of baseball, they all actually have this like lightning bolt arrow shape cut out around the figure. And then they like swap from pointing downwards and pointing upwards. And it's something I just didn't really notice at first as the art was coming in. But then, especially now that I'm working on cards myself, I started seeing all the really cool, unique touches that Amy did across the families to make them tie together. And that just is super awesome. Come on, Eight of Bombs. Where are you at? Do 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 do. Am I like going the wrong direction? I'm very biased to the Suit of Bombs too. I will admit that. Oh my gosh, it was the second to last card. This is the Eight of Bombs. It's radiation. I just really love the look of the card, and the radiation symbol and the dots around it will be foil. So that's going to be super cool, but also just the bombs peeking over the edge of the frame and the way they surround the vial it's just so good. I love it so much. And then, you know, again, because I love bombs, I have to love this particular card, the 10 of Bombs, because it's the one that shows the mushroom cloud. It would have been super easy to have mushroom clouds all over in this deck, and we opted not to not like ruin it and make it boring. I mean, the whole Suit of Bombs already has bombs everywhere. I think it would have been too much if we'd also had it just constantly exploding. The only other explosion I think that we have is on the white picket fence card, because they're like hiding behind the white picket fence in their perfect life, but you know the bomb is still coming and your white picket fence will not save you. I think that's the only other card that has an actual like big explosion. I say is there's kind of like a mushroom cloud in the background of this card. But I promise we used it as little as we could. Try to keep it interesting. Let's see. So yeah, it's a beautiful and super colorful deck. That's something that really strikes me, because like the Misery Tarot, which I think of these two as companion decks because they were worked on at the same time, and they both came from the same place. The Misery Tarot, it does have color, but it's a much like quieter, darker, scarier deck, of course. Hey Lafia, welcome in. And so it's really fun to me to have this super dark shadowwork spooky looking deck come out at like the same time as the super colorful bright 50s Americana deck. And what's really tickling me is that in the guidebook for the Misery Tarot, because it has the possibility of being read with another tarot deck, I used interchangeably the Alleyman's Tarot for cards that I have license to, or the Hot Housewives Tarot. So I've got like pictures of these cards in the Misery Tarot guidebook and like laying, you know, the Marquis of Wounds over like the parlor. That just tickles me. I love the way that they intermingle. Eight of Bombs does have that chaos arrow motif. You know, for people who are unfamiliar, the chaos 8-point star is like a circle with like 8 spokes coming out with little pokers at the end. And it is very funny to me because I'm a little Warhammer 40,000 nerd, and I love those things. And so the 8-point star is really, really living with me lately. Yeah, I also love the Misery Tarot. I also can't wait for people to have their hands on it. If I hadn't been sick, the print files would actually have been to the manufacturer 3 weeks ago. But even with the delay, I'm hoping that this week I wrap up the guidebook over the next 2 days and do get those final print files over so that we can have the Misery Tarot in the world. It got a little delayed, but that's okay. I love the designs for both the Hot Housewives Tarot and the Misery Tarot. Amy and Enoch did just a great job on the decks. This is super true. You know, I love artists. I don't know if people know this about me, but I love artists and I love working with artists. It is like an astoundingly exciting thing to be able to go to an artist whose work I admire and whose work I obviously feel is like correct for a project and say, this is my vision. This is the thing I'm designing and working on. Do you want to be the one that like breathes life into this? And then, you know, they say yes and you're like, yeah, I won. Dimitri asks, what has been the strangest reading you've done so far with your decks? You know, strangest reading. It wasn't even that the reading was strange. It's that the person was strange. I go to these little like cocktail hour things at my apartment complex. They have a bartender come in with some alcohol. It makes free drinks for anyone who shows up for a couple hours. And I get to meet my neighbors, which is kind of fun. But also sometimes it's really strange. I had a guy who was obsessed. He was very drunk, older gentleman. And by older, I mean like in his probably late 50s. Not super duper old or anything, but late 50s. And he was like, so what are you doing? Is this like a game? Because I always take tarot decks or oracle dice when I go to these events so that I can do readings for people. Because reading and drinking go hand in hand, I think, as a very fun thing to do with strangers. And this guy comes up and he's just like, you're playing a game? And it was like, no, it's divination. He was like, so it's like poker? And it was like, no, it's not a game. It's like fortune telling. And he's like, huh, I don't think I get it. And then someone's like, oh, do you want a reading? I did not ask because I did not want to do a reading for him. But then he was like, oh, I guess. So he sits down. I do a reading for him. He is hammered. And the more that I do the reading for him, the more that he's like, whoa, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. What's next? And he was like obsessed. And it was like kind of cute. But then he just hovered around for a very long time and tried to talk to me about books he's reading about religion. Because I had gotten The Truth, which is, gosh, I don't know, like the 14 of Future maybe. And it has a bunch of religious symbols. And he got very confused by them, which kind of tickled me. Because it was cute. It wasn't like, wow, he's so dumb. Why doesn't he know every religious symbol? It was just like, yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair. Not everyone knows. And he asked what the symbols were. There they are. And on The Truth, which is the 13 of Future, sorry, one off. You have a cross, you have a Star of David, you have the moon and star from Islam. You have the wheel, which I want to say is Jainism. I'm happy to be wrong. You can make fun of me. But he looked at the star and the moon, and specifically he pointed at that, and he was like, so what's that one? And it was like, well, that's Islam. And he was like, huh. Well, what about Muslim? And he was like, well, Islam and Muslim are the same faith. You are Muslim, and you practice or believe in the religion or faith of Islam. And he just did not get that. That was like a really hard thing for him to understand, that those two words were connected. And so he like struggled with that for a while. And then he finally gave me the title of a book that he read about religion. And he went on and on about how I have to read it. But like looking at it, I was like, this book had to have talked about Islam and Muslims over and over and over because it was about the Middle East. And the fact that he read the entire book and got out and then was still like, wait, Islam and Muslim are the same religion? I was like, how did you get there? How did you get to the end of your book about the Middle East and ownership over the Holy Land and not understand what these are? Ah, it just tickled me. He was a lot, and he did not leave for a while, but he was so stuck on that card and telling me about faith. So, anywho, I did draw a random 5-card reading. Something that I like to do with this deck, because this deck is about a 50s atomic town, and it's very much about radiation and the atom bomb, the creation thereof, plutonium factories, how it hurt so many people, and so many people worked in plutonium factories and refinement facilities without even understanding what it was or what the dangers were. And that was by design so that the labor could be had. So a very, very straightforward thing that I do with readings of this deck is I like to lay out things on the top and then have things that are underlying. Because I think a lot about nuclear waste with this deck and how there are all these underlying issues kind of hidden beneath the surface. So in this particular case, this might be just like a very straightforward past, present, future style reading. We start out with the devil. In this deck, it's Satan himself. It is very much about the temptation toward carnality and materialism, but specifically in this deck, the particular fears of devilry and witchcraft, like the idea that Satan himself is going to woo you and take you away. So coming from a past of Satan himself, I would definitely read that as like you were maybe in a space of temptation, or you existed in a space where people viewed you as someone who is tainted by that kind of thing. Coming to the present, we have daytime television, which is the sun. It is in reverse. When I see the sun in reverse, oftentimes I like to just be like, no, it's the sun. I don't want reverse. The sun is very nice. But looking at it in reverse, instead of thinking about it as basking in the glow and joy of like particularly good things, for example, it's maybe using that joy around you as an escape from the things that you're facing, not owning up to the hardship and difficulty you actually have, and just kind of paying attention to the frivolous fun stuff. That as a right now thing coming out of Satan himself really suggests that maybe people have this idea about you as someone who is easily swayed into creature comforts. And this kind of supports the idea that maybe that's a space you're in. It's easier to ignore the hard things going on in your life or in your community and focus inward on simple, small, beautiful, positive things. The immediate future here is the Daughter of Pies. This is in reverse. The Daughter of Pies is someone who takes part in materialism and capitalism in particular, without any real thought. Daughters are marked as the harmless participant, and depending on the daughter, that can mean very different things. But in this case, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to go in my cute new dress and dance at the diner with cute boys and be fun and frivolous because I don't want to have to face up to some of the hardships that are in the space. In reverse, I would say that this is also kind of an escape tool. So if this was a reading for any particular person in the chat right now, it'd be like, you seem to be a person who runs away from difficult conversations or things in your life that you're like, I can't solve this easily and I don't want to. The underlying cards tell me that there's more to the story. At the start, we have the housewife. This is the stand-in for the magician in this deck. So the housewife is a card that, just like the magician, I would say the major arcana for this deck is basically a normal major arcana, except it has new names. So the housewife is still someone who juggles all the things, who has power in each space. But in this particular case, as an underlying situation, I would say that a big reason that this person who the reading is for was driven to escape all the difficulty of life and start focusing on frivolity, carnality, materialism, pushing away the hardship and the difficult discussions and conversations, is because they do a lot, actually. They are a very busy person, and especially when you consider the housewife as a housewife. You think about, like, you have to run the home, you have to cook, you have to clean, you have to take care of the children, you have to get them places, you have to do all these things. There's a lot of emotional labor, domestic labor, and physical labor that gets done. And so it leads this person to a space where all of this is kind of the exterior view for people, but the underlying cause and the root issue is that this is a person who's probably just incredibly busy. Then we look over here. This is like a little bit past, a little bit present, right? 'Cause it's under these cards. So the next card would be a little bit present into the future. That's the other fun part, I think, about laying them sideways, is that they're not just underlying and like reasoning for why these cards might exist. They also are kind of like bridging. So it bridges the past to the present. This bridges the present to the future. We have integration. This is the 11 of future. On each card, in the top left, you have what the card is. So this is the 11 of future. And then at the bottom, you have two things. The separation here is the theme of what 11 is in all the suits. And then integration, the larger one, is kind of the keyword for this specific card. So you can see that on the Daughter of Pies as well. We have the Pies family, so what it belongs to. And then we have the daughter at the bottom, because that is what the specific card is. And then kind of like the little text that's what are daughters in families, and it's the harmless participant. And of course that varies from card to card what that ends up meaning. And then the major arcana are the town instead of the major arcana, and it just says housewife. And we have one to mark that it is the magician. I know, very exciting design. So the 11 of future is about integration. Future as a suit deals with a lot of anxiety around what is coming next and what are current actions or the actions of this deck, because this deck takes place in a fictional 50s town called Centerville, what they are afraid of coming out of the future they're heading towards. So integration as a future of what should be what separates us is this idea that like it's inevitable that we will actually integrate. In this case, it's very much racially, right? In the 50s, it was a huge concern that there was going to be integration of the races. And that's a very scary thing, I guess, in the 50s. And I know it's still scary in many parts of the world, unfortunately. Viewing integration here, though, you aren't just thinking about what the deck meant for the 50s, just because that's the theme. You're also thinking about what it means for integration to be a present thing now for who you're reading for, and why it would be a potential anxiety for the person that you're reading for. In this case, because of the background that we got out of the housewife that led us to this position where this person is frustrated with all the things they're dealing with, I would think of integration as a little larger and more abstract in terms of, is there an integration of roles expected? If this person is actually, you know, a housewife who's managing house and home and doing all this labor, I swear I just heard my cat. Who knows? Then they may be afraid of integrating different roles, right? It may be that even more workload is approaching and that they're expected to put together the roles they're already manning and taking care of. But the other thing is that if they are a caretaker, there may be an oncoming integration, maybe even like a family. You know, if someone remarries, they might gain new children, for example. But there's definitely a fear that more things are going to be loaded onto their plate because of this sense of an integration, whether it's combining families, combining job roles, or combining maybe expected or gender roles or domestic roles. So yeah, that would be generally how I'd read a very simple past, present, future with two underlying cards. And underlying cards add a lot to the readings and give you a little bit of the why these things happen. And I think that in this particular reading, if we didn't have the underlying cards and it was just people think that you are in the world for carnal pleasure and like doing silly nonsense, and yeah, you actually are going after only silly nonsense, you don't want to deal with responsibility, it would really paint a picture of the querent as someone who's just kind of like lazy and avoiding work. But then when you have the underlying knowledge of, well, this is why, I think that it really helped inform it and fill out this reading to be more about a real person as opposed to the caricature of someone who avoids responsibility. But yeah, that was like a simple 5-card reading. You could, of course, do any kind of reading with this deck, but I really like underlying cards. I like putting cards sideways. It's one of my favorite things you can do with a tarot deck is put cards sideways. I love like the base Celtic cross because you put a card sideways on the first card, and that always tickles me. I'm sure that that's really boring, but I love when things are laid or used in ways that look like, is that wrong? Should that card be diagonal? Are you sure? I have a reading spread using the Misery Tarot where you make a braid. See if I can do it right. I'm struggling a little bit. You make a braid of cards diagonally, and basically the top of the card should be heading down and then up and then down and then up. So that's how you know if it's upright or reverse. But specifically you're looking at like this thing is falling, this thing is rising. So what is overtaking this? This might be a really complicated thing to start reading. But I love when cards go weird ways. So knowing complicity into the Marquis of Wounds, I would read that as the start of the reading as kind of like immediate past, what's leading into where you are now. Knowing complicity is a difficult card. It's the 6 of Bombs. And it's when you know that things aren't right, but you're not going to do anything to stop them because you're not necessarily directly affected. And the Marquis of Wounds rising, because it's the one going angled upwards. It really should be like this. I don't know why my card ended up upside down. But the Marquis of Wounds is a card that suggests that you're kind of just sitting on an empire of shit. You're on the throne, you are the Marquis, but all you're Marquis of is like wounds and feeling bad and being like, I'm a victim and I got hurt once. That with knowing complicity suggests to me that you're in a situation where you could probably help other people, but your own feeling of like self-martyrdom and your own feeling as like identifying yourself as a victim first and foremost is stopping you from wanting to help other people, because you're like, well, I'm hurting. I don't particularly care if other people hurt in this scenario. Coming into the present, we had the flow, which is the 3 of blood in the Misery Tarot. This is descending, so it's the thing that's kind of losing power in the present, but it was a sense that you started to connect with your pain and what had hurt you. But it is crossed by the threat. This is the 3 of Bombs in reverse. The 3 of Bombs in reverse is typically we would be looking at like things that you feel like are a big threat, and in particular it's like this idea that you have weapons that you can unleash, but you're choosing not to, but it is your deterrent. This coming off of the previous situation is like you started to gain a little more of a conscience about, yeah, I was hurt, but other people are hurting too, and maybe I should offer help to them. But now with the 3 of Bombs in reverse, it does give me the idea that you're like less interested in helping other people and more interested in blowing up the problem. If I viewed this as like a work situation, for example, you've been treated poorly and you know that other people are being treated poorly in ways they don't even know about yet, but you're not telling them because the workplace has already hurt you and you're just like mad about it. When we get over to the flow, you start to really connect with your pain and you're like, maybe I need to work through this, but it gets crossed by this. Maybe you're threatened at work, or there become like active issues with coworkers. And because of that, you go into like attack mode. And this completely overwrites your interest in connecting better with your pain and kind of working through it. Then we have the Daughter of Bombs. This is also in reverse. Again, Bombs family at the top. The daughter is a harmless participant. And the suit of bombs is mostly about toxicity. So I would say that the Daughter of Bombs is like you further in the immediate future recognize that there are issues at hand. But the way that you deal with it is by engaging the toxic work culture rather than trying to overcome it. You just become like another enemy in the situation, and that doesn't actually like help anyone. It just means that you're more likely to cause drama or blow things up because you're frustrated. And then that is crossed by the Rising Debt Queen, which would suggest to me it is kind of the end of the reading, the final outcome, going along with you buying into this toxic work culture, assuming it was about work. The Debt Queen is the ruler of the House of Swords in the Misery Tarot. The Debt Queen is going to come into the situation and just start cutting things up. I think of her as very much like the Queen of Swords, and the way I view the Queen of Swords is that she is witty and smart and powerful, but she's more willing to use her sword than not, meaning that when she sees a problem that she can cut in half to solve, she just does. And unfortunately, you can't easily put something back together once you've cut it in half. So if I were reading this for someone and it was about a workplace, it's like, it's bad. You hate it because it's hurt you, but you're not helping other people because you're mad about being hurt. While you started to grow a little bit of conscience and thought maybe you could help people, it looks like something kind of happened that put you on the defensive, and now you're just full tilt. I will annihilate you if you piss me off. We're in mutually assured destruction mode. You fully bought into the toxic work culture, and unfortunately the outcome for what ends up happening at work is that you do kind of cut the problems and come across them and decide to solve them, quote unquote, in probably the worst way possible. You aren't waiting and being patient and trying to deal with it in a way that could heal the problem. You're just going to destroy it, and that doesn't end well. So this is a braid reading, which is a mixed deck reading that I've written and designed for the Misery Tarot. It's a little bit complicated. It's a little complicated to set up, I think. But it is a really, really cool new reading thing that I put together. Who doesn't like new reading spreads, honestly? So anyone who has joined in this time, I know we have more viewers now than we did before. I am Seven. I am the creator of the Hot Housewives Tarot deck, and that deck currently has a project live on BackerKit right now. You can follow the link in the YouTube description if you would like, or you can just go to backerkit.com and look up Hot Housewives Tarot. You will find this project. It is for printing the deck, yes, but specifically this project is about Missing America, which is an 18-card booster pack that replaces some of the cards. So for example, the baseball family, I happen to have mom and dad right here. They are the court cards for the suit of baseball, which of course is a different suit than normal. But you might notice that they are a white heterosexual couple. Missing America just replaces the 16 court cards with non-white, non-heterosexual people. And it also replaces the Lover's card and the Union, which is the world in this deck, with alternative options, so that if you so desired, you don't have to have a completely white and boring deck. But this deck was very much built around 50s Americana, and so it is a very white deck. I don't even know what I was dealing. I just dealt 5 random cards. Someone help me. Now, this doesn't use underlying. I did a reading just a little bit ago for anyone who missed, where I had underlying cards that looked like this. They informed the cards they were under. This is just kind of a 5-card deal. I've gotten really into the idea of a tarot draw as a poker hand because of the caretaker, who is an academic occultist who designed the normal tarot, which I published. And in the normal tarot, the caretaker has straight up said, like, treat it like a poker hand. Draw like 5 cards, and like if you have multiple spring cards, then it might mean that spring is stronger in the hand, and if you have these, they might pair. So in this hand, if we think about it as a poker hand, we do have a 3 baseball setup, which tells me that play and the forms of play and finding joy are really important to this reading. We have the mother and the father, which are both of the parents of the baseball family. That would suggest to me that this probably is heavily related to formative things for you. It could relate to your original ideas of play and joy, and maybe facing up to what's there. We have the 0 of baseball, which is the park, which is the very like core idea of the entire suit of baseball, which is like we go to the park to be silly and play and be creative and imaginative and try new things. We do have mindless acts, the 2 of bombs over here, which as the only bombs card is a really, really rough one to have. Mindless acts suggests that like what you're doing is pretty unthought through in a way where it could even be dangerous to you. And then of course we have the 6 of future, which is the impending shift. It is in reverse. It suggests that not only is something about to change for you, but it's happening real soon, and it's going to be something that really shatters kind of what you've been focused on or what you've been doing. Coming back here, we're thinking about maybe modes of play or like what you do in your downtime in some way. And this would easily suggest to me like the things that you have been doing are well formatted to your history with maybe hobbies or having fun just generally. But because you've either taken it for granted or the way that you engage in it now isn't very thoughtful, it may change in such a way that you can no longer do it. And that would be a pretty big change to life. I think a lot of people struggle to remember that the things you do outside of your career, like when you're not working and you're at home and you're not doing like chores, the things that you do that make you happy and make you want to continue living are actually like the most important things that you do in your life, right? Not to downplay people who are like doctors or emergency responders or anything like that, but the things that form me as a human being and that really inform what I'm thinking about day to day tend to be like the media that I'm taking in. When I come up with a new project for my business, Publishing Goblin, it's very often coming out of some kind of piece of media that I've watched or read lately, which has really informed my opinion about what things I'm interested in. It colors the entirety of my world, my worldview, the things that I like, the things that I care about, and so if you are in a position where the things that you do for fun that you might think of as kind of frivolous, but something is about to change massively and take it away or change it in such a way you just don't have it anymore, that would be such a huge shift to the rest of your life. So this is like a very innocuous reading, I think, but once you really dig into what it means for a person to have what brings them joy change, it's like, do you become a different person because of that? And I would argue probably yeah. So that's a fun reading. And that was going a little loose with card meanings, but reading it as though it was a poker hand, which is something I'm trying to learn a little more about the normal tarot, because the designer of the normal tarot wants you to read your readings like a poker hand. And that was fun. I like the idea of reading in that way. So does anyone have any questions about the project, or questions about, or for the deck, for example? I've done a few readings now, but they've been general readings just to show off the deck and kind of what messages you might get out of it. But I am very open to trying to answer questions directly for people if you would like. I also see that we have a cute little backer train. I think it's about to disappear, but we had a couple more people. I like seeing it. I like seeing the little I know you can't see my mouse. Why am I grabbing my mouse? I like seeing the little portraits of people on the backer train when multiple people back within a small time frame. Just seeing like the little faces going across the screen. So if you're out there, you have 1:45 to add your little face to the backer train and make it go longer. Because I like it. It's cute. All you have to do is like change your pledge and add $1, and I think that would do it too. Mom. The gun. Dangerous necessities. Escapism and unsalvageable. I actually have a question for people. This is Mom. She is the 3, so she is the Empress. And then Dad is the next one, the Emperor. I have thought about changing this to Ma'am and Dad to Sir or Mister, and having it be more about like, you know, a very like archetypal man and woman in town. And it's like you're a child being like, "Hey, Mister. Hey, Ma'am." I've thought about changing their names. What do we think about that? Instead of Mom and Dad, what if it was Ma'am and Mister? Is that stupid? Or Miss, I guess. I'm not sure which one is more likely for Beaver from Leave It to Beaver to say to a random adult that he sees in town. I don't know. I need answers. I need other people to tell me what I should do. Maybe I should be doing readings for whether it should be Mom or Dad or Mr. and Miss. I'm staying hydrated, and if you are not, you should. I highly suggest it. It's good for you. I'm drinking blue Gatorade. Partly because I was sick, and everyone is like, when you're sick, have Gatorade, which I have such doubts about, but that's fine. So what would this reading be? Well, instead of 3 baseball, we have 3 bombs. We have the gun in reverse, which suggests to me that there's like a dangerous thing present that is likely to be used in probably poorly thought out ways. We have dangerous necessities and unsalvageable. Oh, woof. It looks like there's just a lot of danger in this space. And you have come to a point where you think that danger is part of life. So dangerous necessities features a mom packing lunch for the kids. Like, here's your lunchbox for school, but like is putting bombs in there because it's become so normal that bombs are part of life and bombs are part of your protection, that like you put it in everything, even especially where it doesn't belong. And then the 7 of bombs, unsalvageable, is like the next way bad step where it goes too far, and it's like bombs are everywhere, but it's at such a point where we can't get away from it now, and it's dangerous. So all 3 of these are like danger. They're big red flags. would suggest to me that the querent is in a position where they're fully surrounded by this impending dread or impending danger, and it is pervasive. It's in every part of their life. If we come over to mom, though, we do have this sense that there is still a very, archetypal female energy. There is this unconscious connected person who's looking out for you, and connected to you and mothering you. In this particular case, it's mom. And then in the bottom here, we have the Nine of Baseball, which is escapism. Again, I'm reading this loosely like a poker hand because I love that idea. And this is a rough one. It's like you are a caretaker. I think it's like you are a caretaker, not like you have a caretaker looking after you, in a world where everything is so dangerous and scary. And the tool that you have to interact with this is escapism. Stardust Daydreamer says, I think I like mom as mom instead of as miss or ma'am. Onion Knight says, I like the idea for Mr. and ma'am, or if you keep it the way it is, instead of using mom and dad, make it mother and father. I thought about doing mother and father, and I don't know why I didn't, because I do think that mom and dad look like a little bit silly written on cards. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll change those before we go to print. But I think mother or father or Mr. or ma'am or Mr. and miss probably work better. But I do like the idea that it's mom and dad. The main reason I'd want to change it from like mother or father or mom and dad is because, in the suits, can I find a mom or dad now? Like, we already have mothers, right? And that's why I went with mom, now that I think about it. In the future family, there's already mother and father. So I think that for the town, I was really thinking I want it to be a different word. And I don't know that it even needs to be like mom and dad. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it should just be like adults who embody the archetype. Maybe. I think that's probably like the least important word choice of all time, but it's one that I've been thinking about. So thanks for weighing in. I'm really, really digging the idea of just 5 card draws and not doing a past, present, future thing. I think it's so expected that if you do a 3 or 5 card draw, that it becomes like this past, this is in between past and present, this present, this is in between present and future, this is future. And I think that people really fall into the trap of like, this is past, present, future readings always. I like the idea of just like, here's a 5 card draw. I'm going to read it as like a general vibe check, and it's what's happening right now for you. I'm a fan. I also feel like I've gotten so used to doing straightforward 3 or 5 past, present, future readings, or like the 14 or 12 card, not 14, 12 card Celtic Cross, or the way that I do Celtic Cross, that those are like the only readings I do. So I also really enjoy when I'm writing guidebooks, like coming up with different reading formats to be like, let's try something else. What would it be? What would it mean if you just laid out 18 cards and we're like, I don't know, maybe it's a path. Yeah, I think that Mr. and Ma'am have a place on those cards. I'm just not sure if I want to change them. But it's not like these were the final print versions anyways, because we have to reformat all the cards to have foil elements. So, yeah, it wouldn't hurt me to be like, hey, Amy, let's change mom and dad to Mr. and Ma'am. In fact, what if I did that literally right now? What if I, right now, shoot, how do I do anything? Haha, hello, Amy. let's change and dad to we already have parents in court cards. Look, real time. I sent an email. I know that was the most exciting streaming event of your life. Delete all that. I'm serious though. I know that I do the most exciting things on stream, and that's why everyone shows up, because they love watching me send emails. So how about it, Onion Knight, Dimitri, Stardust, Lafia, if you're still here. Anyone have a question for the Hot Housewives Tarot? A burning question you need an answer publicly? I know that so many people are so excited to get tarot readings where everyone else is watching. I will say that's the one thing that's a little awkward when I do readings at bars or like drinking events or parties, is that like when I'm doing a reading for someone, no one ever has the concept that maybe they should like back up and let it be a private space. Everyone just gathers around to watch what happens. So I'll be like, I know that your sex life isn't going great. And they're like, damn, you're right. And everyone watching is like, damn, you're right. And I'm like, this feels a little weird. And you're like, do you want privacy? Do you want to talk about this in private? And the answer is just no. People aren't doing a great job at that. I'm doing such a bad job at shuffling. I'm sorry. I think the reason I love decks that don't use reverses is that I don't have to be very thoughtful when I'm shuffling. Because like right now I keep being like, okay, is this upside down yet? And it's like, no, not yet. You gotta try harder. Or you'll just have like 40 cards that are upside down and they're all on the top of the deck. I'm so bad at shuffling to get things upside down. And actually, when I'm reading with like the Alleyman's Tarot, sometimes when I'm like pulling a card, I just fix it upright when I'm putting it there. Even though I used reverses for the Alleyman's Tarot, I'm just like, nah, this one shouldn't be reversed. This one's actually upright. Is that a little silly? Probably. I promise I didn't just clear an email. I wouldn't do that while I'm streaming. But there was an email that I wanted to go away. I can't believe that Lafia visited the stream and then left without asking a question. Robbings of the Unsteely. That's when you do 52 card pickup and smear them everywhere. Then who knows if it'll be reversed or not. Legitimately, yes. I find reverses in tarot really frustrating because it feels kind of gimmicky to me in some ways, but in the other way it's like I start putting cards down and I'm like, wait, they're all upside down. Does that mean I just had the deck wrong? Or is this like really a thing where it's like, oh, everything's upside down in your reading? It feels like I'm playing the game wrong, and it's not even a game, and I find that unfair. How do y'all feel about reverses in tarot and oracle? Like I actually think I hate them. Which is why it's annoying that I was doing reverses for this. And with the Goblins Tarot next year, where I'm making a normal 78 card tarot deck for the first time ever, I'll have reverses. And just because it's like a normal tarot deck, and normal typical tarot decks have reverses. And that irks me. I hate them. Stardust. I don't know if I have a specific question for reading, although I'd like to ask for a reading. That's okay, I can do a general reading for you. Star, Moon, and Sun Tarot. Popping to say I'm a huge fan of the normal tarot. I got the whole set. That's a lot. That's 4 different decks. It's really funny. I've done a little bit more in-person vending events in the last year-ish. And I've been taking the normal tarot and I just like have them lined up, but it's just like a little box with a different colored symbol. People are like, I don't get it. What do they look like? And I'm like, well, the guidebook is in front and it has all 4 versions of the deck. And they're like flipping through it and I'm like, yeah, but what do all the decks look like? It's like it looks like the images in the guidebook. And they're like, oh, well, which one's which? I'm like, well, this will surprise you, but the one with the gold foil in the front is the one that has gold accents. The one with the silver foil has the silver accents. The one that's multicolored is the one that's full color. And they're like, oh. It's like, save me. I don't love reverses, but I have an oracle deck that is designed to have a double-sided artwork. That is the 2 meanings, and that works really well. I think that's fun. If like the artwork swaps when it's upside down to make the other meaning, that's cool. But I actually struggle with that generally because like designing that out is frustrating, and you're basically asking an artist to like do 2 different illustrations for every card. It's just like half the size. They were also stunning. I couldn't just choose one. Yeah, that's fair. You end up with a million different normal tarot. Granted, we're only doing the 4. We're only doing the 4 different ones. The caretaker said that if ever there was to be another oracle or tarot or anything, it would be a new project. So if I publish anything for the caretaker, again, normal tarot-esque related, it will be like a new tool, a new deck. Reverses are really weird for me, says Stardust Dreamer. I think they can complicate things in a reading in a lot of ways, which can make it a little harder to do a reading. Yeah, I think that I usually just intuit what the like reverse means more than I try to memorize it. So I, instead of just being like it's the opposite, I think of it as like the shadow. And so I think of the upright version of like at its best, this card kind of means this, and reverse is like at its worst, it kind of means this. But I don't think that people necessarily always like that. Onion Knight says, I only have 2 traditional tarot decks so far, and I don't do reverses with one of them, and the other, the art is all symmetrical like playing cards, so they literally can't be reversed. I think that's great. I got normal tarot gold with my dice order. I'm excited. Ooh. Yes, you will love it. The normal tarot gold is super pretty. It's really unfair because there's 4 different versions of the normal tarot and they're all really cool for different reasons, but like it's gold foil on black and white art. It just pops so much. It looks so cool. I think that's really unfair to the other 3 versions, that there's one that's like, I have a cool skeleton with gold horns on it, and everyone's like, that's the best one. I'm like, come on, the other decks look really cool, I promise. So, sorry, rolling back a little bit. It was Stardust Daydreamer who didn't have a question for a reading, but did want a reading. So I'm going to do a quick one for you. I'm going to go with the 5. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to do the 5-card reading again because it was fun. Now, as a poker hand, we have 2 pairs. So I would say that those are like really strong, and there's kind of our extra guy who's probably a little bit less relevant to the reading. We have the Father of Baseball and the Zero of Baseball, which is the Park, both in reverse. Because, again, reverses. I shuffled the deck, and so ones that were next to each other are now reversed. And that feels so gimmicky to me. Damn you, reversals. How would I read those? The Father of Baseball is usually someone who like wants to relive parts of their youth, the parts of play that made them feel fulfilled. In reverse, I would say it's someone who probably like pushes their memory onto other people and tries to get other people to relive their history that they loved. With the park in reverse, it also just suggests to me that maybe you're a little bit in a position where you're lacking access to the pure form of play that the park offered. So together, I would just read those as like you're in a new position where you don't get to do the things that necessarily brought you joy anymore, and you're trying to live a little vicariously through other people. But that does mean that you do have the potential of kind of pushing people into doing things for you, or rather, like doing things that you used to like, so that you can try to make them love it the way you did. That does kind of lend you to be in an uncomfortably pushy spot because you don't have access to the thing that brought you joy. We do have the 5 of bombs and the 10 of bombs, dangerous necessities and pleasing the bomb. These 2 cards together are very strange, in that one of them is about the pervasiveness of the toxic environment that maybe you've been in, but also the realization of the toxic environment that you've been in. It tells me like you're in a space now where you've been very surrounded by something that's been probably just not very positive for you, but you're also watching it come to fruition finally. It's no longer just this place sucks and feels bad. It's like this place sucks and feels bad, and now not only are we seeing why, but we're also watching it kind of burst to life in probably an uncomfortable way. And I think that's very heavily tied to why you can no longer interact with some of the things you used to love. Things have changed for you. And I would say that the 10 of bombs has a little bit of like a tower element to it, where things have been exploded and destroyed and now they're not really available to you. That could literally be like, if you love playing computer games, your computer has finally died, and because of the space that you're in life right now, there's actually no money to replace it. That's just an example. But I mean, something like that has happened that kind of robbed you of your ability to find joy in the way that you used to. The sheriff in reverse also suggests that like you feel like this is an injustice, and I think that this actually really heavily plays into the father in reverse. You feel like you've kind of been robbed of things that you loved, by things that were outside of your power, and you really want to see it rectified. And I think that has a lot to do with the father in reverse, where you're trying to re-engage in stuff that you now feel like you're missing, and that is putting you in a position where you have kind of this righteous frustration that you're using as an excuse to try to like make the thing come back. Explosions and stuff. What a reading. Rabinks of the Unseelie. As for a reading idea, I just started as a teaching assistant at my college. Any advice for dealing with undergraduates and handling teaching for the first time? Number 1, Rabinks, congrats. I was never a TA, but when I was doing my master's, I did teach just like a really basic writing and rhetoric class to undergraduate students. So I never TA'd under a teacher, but I was just like vaguely kind of a teacher on my own with my own classroom. And I would say that generally I really enjoyed it because I like being in a position where I get to share and teach with people. But I will say I also didn't like it for being in a position of power over people, where they really relied on me to find some measure of success. So like I had students who got really mad at me when I gave them bad grades, right? Because like they did a bad job. And depending on how it got presented to them or how our conversations went, I mean, I could just totally lose them. Like they'd be pissed at me to the point where like they hated being in my class. And I would say that's like one of the biggest things, is finding ways to help people, and especially when they're struggling in your class or not doing well on assignments, like how you bring up the grade to them or send them an email to be like, hey, I noticed that you seem to struggle with this particular assignment. Do you want to come to my office hours, right, to work with me a little bit on that particular thing, or we could talk through why your assignment didn't work out very well. That's my semi-unsolicited advice unrelated to tarot. But just remember where you were at when you were an undergraduate, assuming that you aren't anymore. And like how you only had so much time to put into a class. And to some extent, you can just kind of be a fun teacher if you want. If you want to make it a little easier on yourself, be the fun teacher who approaches assignments funny or weird, or give them a little bit of grace. Give them pizza at the end of the semester. I did that. I would like dress up in drag and then have a pizza party with a movie from my movie collection, and it'd be something weird. Just for people who want to show up. Okay, rubbings. Wow, baseball. Wow, baseball. Wow, bombs. Wow, just baseball and bombs. What's this called in poker? You have 3 of one thing and you have 2 of the other. Is that a full house? Is that no? Is that a straight or a flush? I shouldn't try to make poker hands when I don't remember what poker is. Oof. I will notice that almost every single card here is in reverse because I shuffled weirdly, and that makes me so frustrated because I'm like, I feel like I made everything in reverse, not that the deck or the fates or spirits made cards in reverse. Like I did that because I did a bad job at shuffling. And that's why I think I get frustrated with reverses. It's a full house. Thank you, Stardust Daydreamer. I'm a dummy. So Robinks, talking about you being a teaching assistant at the college and teaching and dealing with undergraduates for the first time. Here's some stuff that could be approaching. Number one, let's start with like the minor 2, right? The lower pair. We have the 0 of bombs and also the 11 of bombs. And of course, they're paired together as bombs. And they kind of got paired together as they were drawn too. Dealing with the parlor and the red scare. So the parlor is a place where people can really share in rumor mongering. It's the place where in the narrative of this deck, for example, all the wives go during the day and they talk smack about like each other and each other's families. It's kind of a toxic environment. In reverse, I would say like this could very much be just a space where like students are going to be talking to each other and like having opinions about not necessarily your teaching, but just like the school and classes in general. And so I think that's one thing to just be aware of. And something that I also dealt with a little bit when I was teaching is like, it's kids. Like, yeah, they're technically young adults now, but they're still kind of just children. And they're going to shit talk and smack talk their different classes and their different assignments. And that's just kind of part of the experience. You're unlikely to even hear what they think about you or your class. But it's fair to assume that like some people just aren't happy with being in the class because maybe it's not a class they particularly want to take. Maybe it's a class they just don't have time for, or, you know, it's just work in general, so they don't like it. So I would say, like, pay less attention to the rumor mill. It's not worth it. We also have the red scare in reverse. Typically, this is, like, very witch hunty in reverse. It's like people aren't even being mindful of what they're searching for. They're just building an us versus them and, like, building a group of others to have frustration about. These two together might suggest that there will be people in your class who feel othered, maybe by other students in the class, and that would be something worth really watching out for. You don't want to end up in a situation where you have students that are like gathering in corners and like smack talking each other or bringing down the class experience for other groups of people. So maybe it's something worth looking at. We do have the 14 of baseball, the son of baseball, and the 12 of baseball over here. The first 2 are in reverse. Dance is usually a card about like connecting with the history of human play and joy. In reverse, In reverse, I almost like kind of read this as like more of a necessity of connecting in that way. Um, the fact that we have 3 baseball cards here at all suggests to me like a really big part of teaching and making your class feel more accessible and fun to you as well as the students is engaging in what makes things fun for people just generally. Dance is one of the things where, you know, you go to a wedding, for example, and my dad's always like, well, at a wedding, everyone dances. It doesn't matter if you're good, you just do it. And I think about that as being something really integral to the experience of having joy and fun. There may be times in class where you do or say things that seem like a little silly and dumb to you, but when they're in the spirit of fun, you know, your students will see that even if it's like cringy or you're trying to use their slang and stuff and they're like, oh, don't do that, like, but they laugh when you do it because it's still fun. I think that approaching with a bit of a light heart is going to be really helpful. The son of baseball in reverse is, so when it's upright, it's typically about like someone who wants to engage in joy and fun in a way that maybe is frowned upon by the space that they're in. In reverse, it's like maybe even bigger. Like they need a little more protection to feel comfortable in having fun. And I think that those 2 cards together really lean into me. Like the more that you can feel at ease in being a little bit fun and silly along the way, the more that other people are going to begin to feel at ease in the classroom space that you make to be fun and silly. And I know you're still teaching, right? Like it's not like this is a fun daycare or something. So you still have to do the work and you still have to get students to learn the material. But especially because it's something that you said that you're pretty anxious about, I think that understanding that the more open and fun you can be, the more open and fun your students can be in return. And that can really ease anxiety every day when you go to the classroom, when people say like, oh, hey, you know, Mr., Miss, or whatever, you, when they know your name and they actually care about being there and they remember last class you said that really silly dumb thing, that becomes like a rapport that you have with your classroom that is just good. And the 12 of baseball, which is black joy. This is definitely telling me like you have a very tender and delicate space to create fun. When it is there, it will be very big and fulfilling. The only worry is like you have to keep it reasonable, or it could become something where other people take note and they kind of rob you of that fun. Long story short, there could be some people who are not there to have fun in any way. And it's okay, and they can say what they want, and don't let that sit with you as a particularly heavy or negative thing that taints your whole experience. And otherwise, the entire rest of the reading is about like creating a space where people can feel a little open and free and having fun. So anything you can do working towards that is going to just ease your anxieties and also your students' anxieties, which becomes a cool cyclical thing. You know, I had students in the past who really knew me a bit more than the other students, and I knew them a bit more. And I wasn't playing favorites. It was just like they were the ones who paid attention and who wanted to chat and like hang out after class and ask me questions. And you can foster that space, and it seems like it'd be a really useful thing to do. And yeah, I agree with Star, Moon, and Sun Tarot. Like, I applaud you. Teaching is really awesome, and it's really cool, and it's not simple, and it's a lot of trial and error. You can like go through a lot of classes to learn how to teach, and still kind of come out the other end like, I don't actually know how this works until you start doing it. So, applaud you, and good work. I believe. Why do people have crowns in the chat? Is that just like the people who've chatted the most? I'm like, why does this happen? I guess that makes sense. Oh, it literally says right there, top fans. Ooh, y'all are my top fans. If anyone else has any other questions, the stream technically goes another 30 minutes. I think I'll like take maybe a question or two either about the project or for the deck to do a tarot reading. But then I might head out a little early. I'm a little sleepy. And I need to eat a proper dinner. A protein bar is not it. Though it is still here on my desk, so I should finish eating it. You know, Onion Knight, you are the #1 biggest yapper, so I think it's only correct that you ask a question about something to get a reading. Like, how can you be the biggest yapper in a live tarot reading stream and then not get your tarot read? God, it really is just like so 50s. Like these color choices, they really just feel a little old. Oh, everyone gets readings. It's fine. I've been in some of those readings for the dice where I've given like one person 2 readings in a single stream, and then I stream later. And they're like, I want more questions answered. And I'm like, okay, sure. If I'm just sitting here, why not? Onion Knight, we love sick questions. I want your brain to not form questions well and then for you to ask the question anyways. I think that's the coolest thing you could do. The other night, when I was still like a little bit delirious and sleepy, one of the guys that I'm seeing was here. We were just cuddling in bed and I was so tired. He's like, you can kick me out whenever you want if you need to get some sleep. But I did not kick him out. I just kept talking nonstop, and I was saying like the least sensible things. I just started putting words together into soup, and we got into some really dumb discussions. You know, these things just happen, and I think it's beautiful. The more sad and melted your brain is from either illness or lack of sleep or whatever, the more delightful, weird things you might say. Yeah, Robbings, it's fine. If I'm ever live and offering readings, I don't care who gives me a question. I don't care if you've already got 5 readings. Unless you're asking about the same thing every time. That drives me nuts. Sometimes I get people who are like, I want a reading about this problem I'm dealing with. And I do a reading and they're like, okay, can I get another reading about that same problem? It's like, no. What do you hope to gain from this? Do you just want the same answer multiple times? Do you want a day-by-day breakdown of your next month of dealing with the problem? Because that's a lot. one of the backers who has the personal housewife, which is you get monthly readings from me, has exclusively asked me questions about, what is this? I keep drawing the same suit in groups. That's wild. But yeah, the backer keeps asking questions about like their job, and every time it's like very specific, like what specifically should I do in my job next? What specifically should I do in my job next month? What specifically should I do to deal with this other person in the office? And I'm like, I feel like you want me to come to your job for you and work. This is a wild day of draws from this deck. Every time I just get like a block of one color. And this is a very, very shuffled deck. It's been used many times now. But I keep just drawing like, well, here's 4 green cards in a row. And it does feel a little bit like Uno or something because of the colors. It's just like 4 green cards, 3 white, 5 pinks. It tickles me a little. But it's very pretty, so I'm also not mad. The Pies family. We have the Father of Pies, the Green Lawn, the 8 of Pies, the 1 of Pies, and the 5 of Future in reverse. If I was reading for someone right now, not that I am Onion Knight, but I don't know, if I was reading for you right now, if you want to claim this reading, since I vaguely said I would read something for you, King of Own Domain, very proud of the things you set up for yourself, but also living outside your means to make all these things happen. And the accomplished thing, the 1 of Pies. It looks to me really like, if I just kind of set these all together as 4 of a kind, and then we have this extra card. It's like, I don't want to give this to you anymore, Onion Knight. I think this is like killing me. It feels like it's about AI. People who have wrongly set up their kingdoms and feel very proud of all the things they've accomplished and feel like they've made real things, but the whole thing that they're building is like a house of cards. They've lived completely beyond their means to accomplish this, either like taking so much money on credit to make it happen, or I'm leaning AI because we got automation at the bottom here, entirely relying on AI to like generate the whole thing for them. So it's like they're so proud of everything they've made, but they've actually made nothing, and they've relied entirely on things replacing their ability to function or think to make it real. So they have no actual solidity under the thing they've put together. That feels brutal. If you're out there and you're playing with your generative AI, this is for you. This is your reading. You're very proud of all the work that you think you've done, but you didn't actually do any work. Can you tell I have strong opinions about AI, as anyone should in the publishing industry? Hi, B&W. How are you tonight? We've got about 30 minutes left of the stream for the evening. Depending on whether or not people have more questions, I might dip a little bit early so I can eat a dinner and then play a video games until I get sleepy. But it's nice to see you. If you have a question, let me know. I'm happy to do readings for anyone, for anything. I do have the Misery Tarot here if you want a dark and heavy reading. And I also have the OG Hot Housewives Tarot, where I just wrote the card names on white cards in case you don't want art. Tickles me. Doing well, resting up after a really busy August. B&W, I wish that my August had been busy. It was supposed to be. I was supposed to be done with multiple things. And then I've just been sick for 3 weeks. Finally getting back to work more normally as of Monday. But goodness gravy. Oh shoot, it's Wednesday, isn't it? Oh, I didn't think about that. I need to put up. Is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? Do I know what day it is? It is Wednesday. Woof. Can you tell I have no idea what day it is where I am? I should do a Patreon post after this just to remind people I'm alive. It is Wednesday, yep. I had to pull up my calendar to know. Can I maybe get advice for the autumn season? I would be happy to. Boop. For anyone who's just joined us, because I see a little uptick of viewers, I'm Seven. I'm the designer behind the Hot Housewives Tarot deck, which is a deck that takes place in 1950s America. It's very retro and collage-y and focused on the 1950s period, specifically in a plutonium refining town. It's a pretty fun and wild deck with lots of bombs and radiation in it. And it is live right now on BackerKit, where you can get the deck in standard or deluxe edition, and also there's a booster pack that can replace some of your cards with cards that are a little less white and cisgender and heterosexual. Because this is a very 50s focused deck on 50s American exceptionalism, so it leans very white. Yet again, 3 baseball, 2 bombs. Kind of wild. Alright, B&W, you wanted some advice for the autumn season. We love this. So, up here we have 3 baseball. We have the 5 baseball, we have the 6. We also have the 11 in reverse, as is that one. We have the Sun of Bombs in reverse, and we have the Parlor, or the 0 of Bombs. As a reading, just because I, for some reason, decided during this stream I would only do 5-card poker hand readings. These are all about, like, directly to your question or the present moment. And I would say that these have a little more power in the reading, so maybe we'll start with the weaker side first and then see what it's being trounced by. So the Sun of Bombs is usually in upright, would be about someone who's really bought in to the whole war engine, is very excited and can't wait to become a soldier. In reverse, it's about someone who's really mindless about why they want to do this. It's no longer about, in this context, the Sun was like, I want to be a good American soldier because it's the American thing to do. In reverse, it's like, I just want to go take part in the scary, big, dangerous thing. And the Parlor is the 0 bombs, and it's the space where toxicity really reigns. It's the space where people are rumor mongering and really spreading negative ideas and concepts around to each other, and kind of upholding the tradition and the very much negative, toxic tradition that they live in. These 2 cards together suggest to me, like, in your autumn, you might be faced with people who are just kind of mindlessly chasing after the kind of toxic space that they live in, but it is very much trumped by the 3 of a kind at the top. So the 5 of baseball, whoops, my hat just hit the camera, sorry. The 5 of baseball is play propaganda. It is about kind of the innocuous way that toxic tradition slips in to our culture. Specifically, we see kids playing cowboys and Indians, and all these different, like, gun and pistol weapons as toys that kids played with. It really supports kind of what's happening down here, that you're going to be in a space with people where really innocuous to them things will be said or things will be done that to you are very frustrating and really uphold things that you hugely disagree with. The Six of Baseball is imagination. It's in reverse. Imagination is the really simple, beautiful card in the suit of baseball, I think, where it's like, yes, there's all these toys in the suit of baseball. There's all these things. There's all this tradition. There's the passing of the torch from, professional baseball players to the rookies who are coming up to replace them. But imagination is the card where kids go outside and grab two sticks, and now they're, having a lightsaber battle, or like knights in a kingdom. And it's the most beautiful, pure form of play. In reverse, it does suggest to me that there's like kind of a robbing of this ability for people to have this beautiful sense of freedom to engage in forms of play and joy that aren't kind of tainted by the overculture determining what they can and can't do. And the Forgotten, the 11 of baseball over here in reverse, is really suggesting to me like the people who are getting left behind the most by this are the people who are different. Specifically, the Forgotten usually focuses on disability, physical or mental, and the way that, especially in the 50s, they were completely just given up on and cast aside. But in the modern era, a lot of what we might be looking at is like people who don't have the same groupthink stuff going on for them are really being left behind. I think that really connects with all the rest of this reading. So a general reading for you, B&W, for the autumn season. You're going to be faced with situations where people are just really buying into what you might view as like toxic ideology or toxic tradition. It's really going to be pervasive, even to like the core of like what they think on average. And maybe specifically, what do we say about that? They're going to buy in a way where they don't realize they're buying in, right? They don't think there's anything wrong with what they're dealing with, or how they're dealing with things. And it's not necessarily your place to fix it for them, right? That's always the hard part, is like when you get faced with family, friends, or just people in the community who say things where you're like, well, that was racist, or that was, etc. You really have to weigh whether or not you can even fix this right now, or whether or not you have the energy to do so. So nothing about this suggests like what you need to do. It's just going to be a very present thing where you're going to be faced with maybe this opportunity where you could try to educate people around like what they're doing and why what they're saying or doing isn't great. But more likely, this reading is just a warning to you that like, brace yourself. You're going to be in situations where you're not necessarily 100% comfortable with topics of conversation or the way that people are acting. You're not expected to fix this, but it's just the fair warning that it's going to be there. And I would definitely say it's something that's like semi-unavoidable. So it could be, a family reunion. It could be something at work where you can't really just walk away. It's just kind of there. But yeah. So I guess look out for that. And steel yourself. Holding your tongue is sometimes a really difficult skill. And in this case, it looks like it might be really pervasive to the larger group. So it may not be something you want to necessarily make yourself the town pariah over. Onion Knight. I have drawn my Hierophant token, which is respect to nature. So my question is, my birthday is near, and to celebrate, I want to add nature at my new home. Deck suggestions for choosing plants. Wow, I wonder what this deck will offer you about choosing plants. I actually have no idea. I know so little about plants, so I feel like this is it's gonna struggle, but I'm ready. I'm ready to answer any kind of question. If I draw a bunch of pies, it means you have to pick a green one. If I draw a bunch of bombs, you have to pick a pink one. All right, we got pink, we got pink, we got green, we got brown, we got white. Okay, this didn't help the way I was hoping it would. Okay, picking houseplants. Onion Knight, this is... Tom, get up here. Help me out. Everyone say hi to Tom Bombadil, who has joined us. Tom Bombadil, everyone, my sweet orange man, who's going to help us pick out plants. Yeah, I didn't get a good poker hand this time. We just got what we got. Okay, loading the bomb and mindless acts. If I'm pairing them together. Thank you, Tom. You don't have to rub on the microphone, baby. Oh, you're so handsome, though. So handsome. Handsomer than anyone on earth. Don't tell anyone I'm seeing right now. Loading the bomb, mindless acts in reverse. It looks to me like for picking a plant, when you go, you're likely to see things that you're already certain that you want. And there'll be like a feeling for you where you're like, no, I should be like really thoughtful about like which ones I get. But it looks like if I just go with the top two cards, screw that. You should go with the first ones that you're like, this is what I want. And it feels like it will fit somehow. Logic be damned. We're being mindless up in here. We're loading the bomb. The bomb wants to be loaded. We have Mom here who really wants to take care of the plant. We also have the Edge of Tomorrow. The Nine of Future is very much like, here's the next thing that's coming. It's going to be very different. So I would suggest not getting things you already have or getting things that necessarily match with what you have. It looks like this is the big step ahead, right? That's what it says on the card. I'm leaning a little bit towards like picking a plant that does something completely new for your space than other plants that maybe you already have. And then the Three of Pies is a mighty need, and it's telling me pretty straightforward that like you need these plants. A mighty need's about like you wanting to get something to either like complete a collection or make yourself happy. And it's a Three of Pies, so it's about materialism. It's about spending money to get a thing. Like, you are going to get new plant. You have to. You should be less thoughtful about picking it, and you should pick something that's very different than maybe what you already have or what you're used to. And it could even lead you on like a new journey of like having all kinds of new plants that you've never taken care of before, and maybe you want to get a bunch of them. So maybe you don't have succulents and you're like, wow, I want a succulent, and then now you have 30 of them. I do see Mom right here, and you know, this is what she wants. It's literally garden guide, 1950 home garden guide, literally says right there. Plans and pictures, flowers. Like, this is Mom. This is Mom. That's you. You're Mom. You really want to take care of the garden and the flowers. So you're going to do a great job with it. And the loading the bomb is just like, you already are going to pull the trigger. Just do it already. So yeah, go get plants because you want them and you need them. Try something different, and also pick something that like just jumps out at you as being strange and new, and then figure out the details later of like how you actually take care of it or where it's supposed to go in the house. Those are my suggestions for picking out plants. I'm not good at plants. I don't know anything about plants. I don't take care of plants. I don't usually remember if I took my medications. I'm really bad at it. So I hope that you're really good at this. You had the Mom who takes care of plants. I'm going to assume that you're great at it. Also, you have the Hyro plant / Fant. I believe. All right, we've got about 10 minutes. If anyone has any last questions about the project or about the deck or the other deck or the dice or anything, I know I'm doing a lot of things at once right now. Ask away. Otherwise, you got about 5 minutes before I'm clocking out to go cook a pizza and eat a very healthy pizza for dinner. And B&W, I appreciate that. Earlier, B&W said, I adore the biting satire behind the deck. It's super unique. I think it's super unique too. I was only able to bring 2 with me during the move. A little succulent for my boyfriend and a big fuzzy cactus. They will be happy to get new friends. Ooh, yeah. I think you need some kind of weird flowering thing if you're even able to have that inside, assuming you're trying to have it inside. Because it said flowers on the deck. B&W asked if I have a favorite card from each. Someone asked earlier, but that only means that it helped me to try to like pick out my favorites faster. So I really like the 8 of Bombs, and the Mother of Future just like speaks to me. She's so cool. I wish I was as cool as the Mother of Future. Those are definitely my 2 faves, I think, out of this deck. There's a number of them I really like, but like I'm definitely leaning those 2. For the Misery Tarot, it's complex. There's some that I love so much. Like I really love the Weeping Mother. It's just a giant statue of a crying like Mary kind of figure. I think that's really neat. I really love the Burning Home. That one means so much to me because it's so pretty. Who am I looking for? I feel like there was one specific one I really am trying to find. Probably can't put the one with the giant penis on YouTube. That is the danger of this deck. It's got stuff. Oh, I really love the diner too. But the one I'm looking for is Temple Factory. Where are you? Are you like the left? Oh no, I must have passed it. Well, it's Temple Factory. You'll have to go look for it later. I say looking for it right now when I shouldn't be. But I love the Temple Factory. It's so pretty. Oh, there it is. Boop. Big fan of Temple Factory. It's just so imposing, and just like that orange red is just so pretty. But the Weeping Mother is a really good one. It's just so huge. And then if you look at the bottom of the card, you can see there's like a tiny little person right here. So like the scale's wild. This is like the most massive statue in just a giant pool of water. Pretty neat. But I love, 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 love the Mother of Future. Amy cooked with that. It's so good. And then, of course, the 8 of Bombs is great. It's just a good look. And I can't wait to have it in foil. Because this deck is in foil. It just is not in this early printing. Boop. I can definitely pick like favorite cards from a variety of things that I've published. Like in the normal tarot, my absolute favorite in the black and white version, or the silver foil version, is the Mother of Winter. I think she's so pretty. That art is so amazing. In the gold deck, it's gonna be, of course, like, what is that? Is that the 8 of Winter? No, it's something like that. It's the one with like the frozen, like deer skeleton with the big golden horns. That's super pretty. Ugh. I love picking favorite cards in decks because then all the other cards know that I like them less. I'm very cruel. Yeah, so any of the hot pink, all those little hot pink dots around the bomb, that'll be foil. Um, it's hard to see in this one, but the brown stars around the mom, those will be brown foil. On this, all of those like green hearts, those will be foil. On the future cards, those like silver wires crossing in front of here, those will be foil. If I could pick one card from any of the decks to get tattooed, which would it be? Oh, that's hard. If we could do it really well, I would get the final tarot card from the Alleyman's Tarot tattooed on me. But I feel like it's a kind of busy card and the colors are kind of dark and I feel like the tattoo would not age well. But that'd be a big one for me. Also because I put that one together and so I like it a lot. I'm so hesitant to get other people's art tattooed on me. Like this on my arm, I designed that and I did it exactly this way and had them like just copy paste it onto my arm. And the artist kind of hated me for it, I think, because he wanted to do something cool with it, but he had to do my version. I do have this little 7 that is a stick and poke that I got from a friend, and that I didn't do any design for. It was very small, so I wasn't worried about it. But my next tattoo is such a struggle for me because I would love to get like something that's like pop culture-y, like Kirby, because I'm a big Kirby fan. But everything I come up with, I'm frustrated because I'll have to explain what I want, and then the artists will probably like stylize it in their way, and then I don't know that I want someone else's art. I want to make the design. I want it exactly the way I want it. I don't want to put other people's art on me. I don't know if that's me being really, really self-absorbed, but I think I make really neat things, and if I'm going to put something on my body forever, I want it to be like a thing I made that's special to me in that way. Otherwise, it would have to be something someone else made that's like super important to me. So like I want to get like a Five Nights at Freddy's tattoo, but I want to abstract it so much that it's just like a pretty design. And then people are like, what is that? It's just like 5 cubes of different colors with some shapes on them. And I'm like, yeah, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. And they're like, what do you mean? That's not Five Nights at Freddy's at all. And I'm like, yeah, it's my minimalistic cubes. Yeah, I'm like, it shouldn't be hard for me to know which one is the Eight of Winter, because I have stickers of it up there, and I have an art print literally right here. So I know I just went on a diatribe about how I wouldn't get other people's art on me, but if I could get an artist who can really pull off Sam's style on me with like I don't know, the very simple line work and stuff, I wouldn't get this on me, but I would definitely get something from Sam. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Yeah. If you can get a tattooist who really aligns with what you want, it's worth it. My problem is that one time I found an artist whose work I thought was close to what I'd want out of a Kirby tattoo, and I described what I wanted and then had them illustrate it so I could take that to a tattoo artist. And when they gave it to me, it was like so incredibly not what I wanted at all that I hated it. And so I've been so nervous about getting someone else to make me a tattoo design ever since. Well, anywho, I ended up staying all 2 hours, so good for me. Definitely, if you haven't already, go check out the Hot Housewives Tarot Missing America on BackerKit. Back for a deck. It comes with a cool guidebook that I have not worked on very much, but I will. I promise it's going to be a really good guidebook. I will say it's the one thing I usually get compliments on the most. The decks look cool, but people are like, the guidebooks are so informative and well written, and I'm like, oh, thanks. So I highly suggest my own decks to you. The Misery Tarot is also very close to heading to production, so if you go look for the Misery Tarot on Backer Kit, you can still pre-order it for a little while. Very pretty, spooky looking deck. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, y'all. B&W, Ashes and Ink, Rubbings, Onion Night. And I'm like, there's more of you. I know there's more of you. Ashes and Ink. I'd love to see you. Star, Moon, and Sun Tarot. Stardust Daydreamer. I really appreciate having you all here. Dimitri, who's here at the start. I don't think Dimitri's still here, but that's okay. I would love to see you next time that I stream. I'll probably do another stream next week. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely night, and see you on the campaign. Ta-ta.